Don Costa, a friend, put them in touch. He became his manager. We're now in Miami. He is making a movie. He calls me. "Kid, come on," he says. "Eat dinner." I'll have dinner with him. This is about 67. For 60 years, Paul Anka kept Frank Sinatra's worst lies from everyone. He finally talks now that he's 84. He looked him in the eye in 1968 and said something that changed everything. It wasn't just my way. It was about the ties to the mob, the scandals that were covered up, and the bodies that went missing when people spoke out against the head of the board. Anka saw everything happen. He didn't say anything even when he was threatened, paid, or even hurt. It's funny how old people can loosen up, but the stories he's telling now will ruin Sinatra's reputation for good. His birthday is July 30th, 1941, and he was born at the Ottawa Civic Hospital. He was born to refugees. Andy Anka, his dad, came from Damascus in 1924 with only $15 in a bag. And in Ottawa, he opened a little place called Locanda on Laurier Avenue West. For 45 minutes, they served spaghetti. People who work for the Ottawa Citizen loved it. It was also Paul's world in that place. He knew the names of all 7 federal cabinet ministers by the time he was 7 years old. He learned about things from political rumors at Table 4. He met more than 300 people every Saturday. He saw his dad work hard, smile, and shake hands. He learned it all by heart. The family lived on Clearview Avenue in a house with 2 bedrooms. There were 5 of them. Winters turned off to 25th C. Paul worked on his singing while he wore gloves. Even though he didn't have much money, 2 things shaped him: his dad's drive and his mom's Arabic songs. Kamalia was her name. She was born in Lebanon. He remembered the tunes. Paul was 12 years old in the fall of 1953. He brought a $14 guitar that someone had given him to Pfizer Park High School. He told everyone that he had a new group. The Bobby Sockers was his name for it. Raymond Carrier and Gerald Barrow were 2 of his friends that he pulled in. They practiced in his basement, which had tomato crates nearby. They sang some nights. After 2 a.m., Paul used an old John Thompson book to teach himself how to play the piano. He wrote songs in math class, too. He had written 27 songs by the time he was 13. Frederick Karam was his piano teacher, and he remembered everyone. Paul wanted to play at the Fairmont Club in Quebec one time, but he was too young, so he stole his mom's Buick and drove there without a license. He went across the water. He talked the doorman into letting him sing for free. He sang a song he had written called "I Confess." He got $25 for first place in jobs for a week. Everyone else saw a kid who wouldn't give up, but the cops warned him. Paul sang at St. Elias Cathedral every Sunday. He learned old songs with odd time signatures, like 7/8. He put those together with dance songs he heard on CKUA late at night. Something new came out of it. One of the judges at a YMCA event said it was weirdly hypnotic. In 1955, Paul was the star of every show in his area. He did it 42 times in just 6 months. One show happened at a Rough during halftime, football game for riders. He wrote a song that 19,000 people clapped to. Blau Wild de Vast Fontaine was its strange name. It was from a book he was reading for English class. He was called the Pint-Sized Sinatra by the Ottawa Journal. He was making more than $60 Canadian a week when he was 14. That was 3 times what other kids got as pocket money. Then the soup cans showed up. At the beginning of 1955, Paul saw Campbell in a race. If you send in 1/500 labels, you could win $100 or a free ticket to any North American destination. For 3 months, he went through IGA trash cans. He put tomato soup labels in 12 bags. They were stuck on entry forms with the help of his sister Miriam. He won on May 5, 1955. L.A. was his choice. He had $200. He stayed in Hawthorne with his Uncle Morris and hitched a ride to Modern Records that was 18 kilometers away. He tried to try out without making an appointment. Even though they said no, he left with a tape and his first view of the Capitol Records Tower. He promised himself that one day he would be inside it. Paul surprised his parents that Christmas. He didn't want to go to school again. He wished for New York. Andy, his dad, said it was fine. He told him to get a record deal in 6 months. He had to go back to Londa and work there full-time if he failed. Paul got on a CPR train with $500 and 2 bags on January 1st, 1956. It took 16 hours to get to Grand Central. He tried out for the part of Don Costa at ABC Paramount on day 53 of his 6-month deadline. He sang Diana. Costa called Andy back in Ottawa when he picked up the phone. "Your boy," he said, "I just wrote $1 million book." It was the last time Paul worked in that restaurant. In 1957, he had one 5-minute song. That was all. He held up a picture of Diana in front of Don Costa. Costa heard the very first line. He then stopped him and told everyone to come in. Paul had a deal by the end of that hour. They gave him 2 cents per record, which is twice what most new singers get. The story was written all over the label. After that, any hit that came out of nowhere was called a 5-minute miracle. Diana was taped at RCA's Studio B on May 19, 1957. It came out in July. There are no ads or signs. After 3 weeks, it was on 83 stations. It was #1 in 6 countries by September. In 18 months, 9 million copies were sold. It was #1 in Britain for 9 weeks straight. There, it sold 1.225 million records, more than any other music type except rock around the clock. Canada's Edmonton had 2 plastic plants that were open 24 hours a day just to keep up with demand. Paul set up a show in Ottawa before the song became popular. It was October 28, 1956. It happened at the Capitol Theatre, but the people there didn't like him. They thought he was singing with his lips. They made noise at him. They threw money around. He left the stage. He told the tour manager, "I'm never singing in this town again." For 25 years, he kept his word. He didn't come back until the Inn 1981. The city gave him the city's key. He said that night ended his childhood. By 1959, Paul was always in the air. His ID card showed 146,000 kilometers. Before Castro took power, there was Havana in January, Sydney in March, Tokyo in June, and London in January. He was 17 years old. He made $15,000 a night, but he still needed a guardian to co-sign his shows. He made more money than Sinatra some nights. So many of his fans yelled that they threw shoes on stage to get him to bend down and touch the ground in their country. Because he was there, the cops in Cuba had to ban high heels. Paul did more than just sing, though. He was getting better at business. In 1958, he saw that record deals in Europe paid more, so he renegotiated. Outside of the U.S., he got 3 cents instead of 1.5 cents. He also asked to keep the rights to share his work. He began Spanka Music when he was 17 years old. That meant he got the money, not the record company, every time Diana, Lonely Boy, or later My Way was played. By age 18, his songs had made $2.5 million. He bought a club in Las Vegas and an apartment building in Montreal with the money. Both places were against the law for him to drink in, but he owned both of them. There were 4 young guys from Liverpool on stage on August 17, 1960, in a dark club in Hamburg. No one knew what their names were, but they changed every night and every show. They were going to be the Beatles. In 3 years, they and the Rolling Stones had 8 UK #1 hits. In the midst of their rise, Paul Anka fell. His new songs were all bad. They didn't even make it into the top 20. His record company, ABC Paramount, took away his studio money and then dropped him. They said they